Yo, what's up, guys? I am back on YouTube after a hiatus of not posting, and today we are looking at escalas on Tololoche. We're going to take a look at the major scale with the open strings, and the minor scale for all the natural tonos and where we can find them. I'm going to be playing these escalas over a looping acorde that I'm playing on the bajo quinto. And I'm going to show you guys how we can use these escalas to do pasadas, to go up and down the escala, do little adornos, and how it can help us understand all of the acordes in major and minor tonos. So we're going to look at that today. Let's get straight into it. I got the lines marked here on my bass so you see exactly where I'm playing. I got the diagrams here that I'm going to switch for each tono. And I also have the fretboard notes that show you exactly what notes I am playing. And I'm tuned in mi tuning, so that's what my strings are giving me. It's the exact same shapes and the exact same thing as long as you're tuned in fourth. So if you're tuned in la, if you're tuned in fa, it doesn't matter what you're tuned in. These shapes will give you different escalas, but the shapes will still work. You just got to know what you're playing. All right, so let's get straight into it. All right, so what we have here is the escala de do mayor, and this is the fretted major scale shape, what I call the universal major scale shape. This works on bajo eléctrico, this works on bajo quinto, on guitar. This shape works on pretty much any stringed instrument. And wherever we start the escala, where I have the red 1, that's our root note there. As you can see, it's on the third line of the third string. Since this is the first string, second string, and third string. Since this is a la string, the first fret would be la sostenido or si bemol. The next line would be si. And since si doesn't have a sostenido, do would be on the third fret. So when we start this escala here on do, it's going to give us do. Anywhere else, it's going to give us any other tono. So let's play it. What I like to do is I like to use either just my index, my middle, and my pinky, or I'll use all fingers. It depends on what you want to do. But what we're going to do is usually we would play our middle finger on the root note, and then we would stretch up 2 spaces to play the second note. So those are the first 2 notes, 1, 2. And what I would usually do is I would play with my index and then my pinky. Those are the first 2 notes. And as you can see right there, the 1 and the orange 2, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. That's the order that you can understand in, or in the numbers, because those numbers are important for the acordes. But the first note would be do. And then as you can see, if you compare it to the other diagram, the next note would be re. So we're playing do, re. Then we go down to the next string, and we're going to have to reach back a line to the second line, and that's our third note right there. So what I would do is I would use index, pinky, then reach back with the index, or you can do middle, pinky, and reach back with the index. However you want to play it, whatever works best for you. It's best to use as many fingers as possible so you can be efficient, but sometimes it's not ideal on Tololoche to use every single finger, especially because of the way we hold it and the way we have to stretch. So I would just do index, pinky, index, and then from here, I would use my middle finger for the next note. That would be the 4. That's what we call tercera. That's an easy pasada you can do from the escala, and I'll show you that in a second. But that's what we play. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we stretch up another 2 lines to the 5th note, which is in this case sol. So we so far have gone through do, re, mi, fa, and sol. So those are the first 2 strings. And then we reach back again to the note under our third note, and that would be the sexto grado. That's the 6th note. That's la. And then we would use our ring and then pinky to end the escala. That's the whole escala de do mayor. That is the major scale for do mayor. And like I said, wherever you put this escala is going to give you the major scale for that starting tono. And so just for the sake of not having to move the notes or having to create another diagram, I'm going to leave this shape up here so you can see. But if I start on sol instead, which is the note right above do on the 3rd fret, then that's now going to give me the sol mayor escala. If I went up to la, it's kind of hard because I have this stand here making it hard. So I would want to probably go back either down to C, and I can play it on C. And that would give me the C mayor escala. So this shape, wherever you put it, wherever you have room to play down 3 strings and you have the space to play it, that's the universal major scale shape. That's going to give you the escala for whatever tono that you want. And so that's what we're going to see. And if I play an acorde de do mayor here looping on BandLab and play this escala over it, you're going to see that it matches up with the acorde and it sounds good to do adornos up and down the escala. So let's try it. Reset there a little, so I gotta wait. There's a little example right there. That would be in tres cuartos, and I'm just going up and down the escala. And I think my microphone's probably picking up the chicoteo, so I'm gonna remember to mute that on the next one. But hopefully it wasn't too loud. But that's do mayor right there. Like I said, if I were to take this off the stand, which will probably be a little easier, and I go down here and start on re, then that's gonna give me re mayor. If I went to here on the 5th fret for la, then that's going to give me the la mayor escala. So you'll start to hear the pattern and how it sounds, and that's what you're going to be looking for, and you're going to be matching up those notes with your ear and associating them with that shape. That shape is going to allow you to play any escala on whatever starting point that you want. So that is the major scale for do mayor, but also you can play it for sol, you can play it for la bemol, for re bemol. You can play it pretty much anywhere on those first 2 strings where you have the space. But there are some tonos where it's not going to be ideal. You're not going to want to play too high up, or you're back on the first frets and you can't really play that escala for fa, for example. So that's where we have to gonna play another shape instead to allow us to play all the notes in the major scale. So now after that, we're going to transition to the open escala. So now we're going to switch to the open escalas, and we're going to start with the lowest string. So we're going to start with mi. Now this shape is really cool because this is going to have almost the same pattern. Well, it is have the same pattern as la and as re, but with re, we're not going to be able to play the entire escala on the open strings. But let's switch over to the mi open escala shape now. All right, so we are back. I have moved the dots around. So now what you're looking at over here is what's called the open mi mayor escala. So we're starting on the open string. As you can see up here, the red one is not on the first line, it's on the nut. That would be the open mi string. So the first tono, since we're starting mi mayor, we want to start with the open mi string. Now this shape is another way we can play the major scale fretted, but it's going to be a lot more expanded. We're going to cross a span of about 4 or 5 frets. So it's kind of a stretch to play, and it's not the easiest or the most ideal way to play on Tololoche, but this is another way that we can see the major scale play on the fretboard. But when we include and start on the open strings, what we're going to have is we're going to play the open string first, and we're going to jump 2 lines to the second line, and that's going to be our second tono, and that's going to be fa sostenido. Major scales are all doing whole steps and half steps from the root. And when we do a whole step from mi, we're jumping over fa, since mi doesn't have a sostenido. That's 1 half step, and another half step, or technically 2 half steps is the same thing as a whole step. We're landing on fa sostenido. So we go open, second line, and then jump to the 4th line. That's our second whole step. So it's whole step and whole step, or 1, 2, 3. That's our sol sostenido. Also, that's the tercer grado. Then we're gonna go down to the la string. The open string is our 4th note. So 1, 2, 3, 4. La would be our 4th note. That's what's called tercera in regional. And then we're gonna do the same thing. Open, 2, 4. So this shape is really easy because it's kind of like a box. 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4. Then once we go down to the next string, we're going to do that last half step at the end of the escala, and we're going to do the first traste to hit that re sostenido, and then the second traste on the second string, that's mi. That's where we're finishing the escala. That's mi mayor right there. And if I play once again the bajo quinto acorde that I just played looping right now, you'll hear it. Let me just make sure to mute my mic this time. So there you go. You can hear how that escala, when we're playing mi mayor, it's following the same exact shape and the same pattern as do mayor, as in we're doing the same whole steps and half steps. But because we're starting on mi and doing those notes, it's giving us a different combination of notes. And so this is a shape that you want to learn for sure, so that you can play mi. It's bajeo secundario, which we learned in the Tololoche 101 video. If you haven't seen that, make sure to check it out. And it's octave. So we would play mi. And then if we want to do adornos, we can do the escala. And that's what we're going to use to do adornos up and down, and to take us to segunda or take us to tercera. If we want to land on the quinto grado, that's where we find segunda. It would be C in the key of mi. Then we would go from the 8, 7, 6, 5. If we want to go from primera, mi, to land on segunda, we have to land on la. So we would go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now la is our new tono. And we could use the entire mi escala to do adornos in there as well. So that is a little example of what's going on there. If you want a little bit more help and a little bit more guidance on what I mean by that and what I'm doing, you can always hit me up for private lessons, or you can also join the pre-order for my Tololoche music theory course. It's going to be coming out soon. But let's move on. Learn these escalas, practice them, try to approach them and apply them to music, and you're going to see that it's really, really easy and it's really cool once you get it. Okay, so that would be mi mayor. Now let's move on to fa mayor. All right, so now here on the diagram, you can see that I switched it to start on fa on the first fret. Now this shape is the same exact shape as the do mayor escala, but instead of reaching back a fret from where we start, we're having to play the open string instead of reaching back. So technically it is the same shape, but we're playing it a little bit of a different way. So when we're starting on fa, we would start on fa on the first fret of our mi string, and then we're going to jump our first whole step to the third traste. That's where you see the second note. So I would reach with my pinky to hit that. 1, 3 is one way I like to think about it. And then you're going to do open on the next note. So 1, 3, open, or fa, sol, la. You can always make sure to look at the diagram, see the notes that I'm playing, and you're going to see those are all notes in the key of fa mayor. Look it up. What is the fa mayor escala? You're going to see it's all these notes. So fa, sol, la, and then on the first fret, we would have si bemol. Remember, in major scales, we can't repeat la and la sostenido. That's why we have to call certain notes bemol in certain tonos. Fa is one of those tonos that people notoriously get wrong by calling it la sostenido. For tercera, it should be si bemol, is our tercera or our cuarto grado. So it's 1, 3, 0, 1, 3. So it's kind of a similar shape to the mi mayor escala, but we're starting fretted. So 1, 3, I like to use my pinky, but still we're hitting that fret, right? 1, 3, then open, 1, 3, open again on the next string, but this time it's going to be 2, 3, and that's that last half step. Remember, the pattern for a major scale is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. So that last half step at the end of the escala is always going to be the note right before the octave. So mi is the note that comes right before fa. So as you can see, that séptimo grado is going to be mi. It's going to be right before fa. So fa would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The octave. And those are all the notes in fa mayor. It's the tono with 1 bemol. Now I recorded fa looping, but I also added the segunda of fa, which is do 7. So I'm going to show you how after I'm playing fa and I'm doing the fa escala, I'm going to switch and land on segunda, on do. I'm going to use the escala as a pasada to go 8, 7, 6, 5. So check this out. There you go. As you can see, I was jumping up and down using the fa escala. I wasn't slapping too much because I'm not trying to make it sound super loud, but I'm just playing it as you would an upright bass. and I'm playing the notes themselves and landing on the tonos. And as you can see, that pasada is super popular in regional, to land on segunda. That's one that you're going to want to get really familiar with, and that's an example right there. In the next tono, I'll show you going to tercera and how we can do that, but that would be fa mayor. And see, this is one way we can play it. You can definitely go all the way up to where we find fa, which would be probably past the 6th fret all the way down here, but it's not ideal to play an escala all the way down here, right? It's just not ideal. So fa is best going to be played right there. The second octave you would have would be right here, and we can continue the escala with the do shape, but eventually we don't have another string to go to, and we're just gonna have to climb up the string. So it's not necessarily, you can't play the full escala there. On Tololoche in mi tuning, this is pretty much the only place you're gonna play fa at, and the easiest single octave place to play it. So that's just a little tip there. So that's fa mayor. Now let's move on and do sol. All right, so now we are looking at the sol mayor open escala, and as you can see, sol would start on the 3rd fret of the mi string, and after that we're going to go a whole step or to the next tono. That's one thing you're also going to notice in any major scale, we're always just going to the next tono. So that's what you should expect. If we're on sol, then our next tono is going to be la. We're jumping over the sostenido, so it's going to take us to the open la string. So you can see there we're going 3 and then open, then we're going to do 2 3. So 3 0 2 3, or sol la si do. After do, we're gonna go to re, and we could go all the way up to the 5th fret, or we can just go to our next open re string, right? The 5th or the segunda of sol is actually re, so we're gonna go to the open re string. After that, we would go 3 0 2 3 0 2 and 4 actually. So that's the one note that's kind of taking us out of the shape to hit that fa sostenido. And our last string is a sol string, so we're gonna end on the open sol string. That's sol mayor right there, starting on the 3rd fret of mi and doing 3 0 2 3 0 2 4 0. That's the sol mayor escala. And like I said, in this recording with the bajo quinto, I start on sol, on primera, I do a preparación, and that's going to take us to tercera, which is actually going to be do. So I'm going to go 1 2 3 4 and land on do. After that, we're going to go to segunda for a second. So I'm going to go from do to the open re string. So check it out. There you go. As you can see, jumping up and down using the open escala helps us go to different tonos, helps us do pasadas and adornos. And right there, when I'm slapping it, you can throw in a bunch of different rhythms. You can do a lot of cool terminaciones right there to land back to primera. That whole escala is up to you to mess around with and have fun with. So try that out. That is sol mayor with the open strings. And that's not the only way we can play it. Like I said, we can do it the fretted way. But if you like the open strings are a little bit lower sounding, a little bit neater sounding than the 5th fret la compared to open la. Some people just like the sound of the open string better, and they prefer not to fret. It's tiring, you know, so the easier you can play it. The cool thing about sol technically is you can play the open sol string and the note above it as its bajeo. And then when you want to go to segunda, you just go up a string. So you don't have to fret anything. But you got to mute the string right. And then tercera, you do have to fret for do, unfortunately, but not unless you have a 5-string bass. All right, so that is sol. We're going to move on now to la, which is technically the same thing as mi, and you're going to see same exact thing, but we're going to go through it anyways just so you guys can see it. All right, so we got the La mayor escala here now, and as you can see, it's the same exact shape as the Mi mayor escala. We're just starting on the open La string, and it's the same thing since they're both open strings and we're tuned in fourths between all our strings. It's going to give us the exact same shape. So we start on La, do the same thing, 2 4, go to the next string, 0 2 4, then 1 2. That's the La mayor escala. If you look at the notes too, we're going La to Si to Do sostenido, because remember, Si doesn't have a sostenido. So when we jump over Do natural, that's what gives us a Do sostenido in the key of La. La, Si, Do sostenido. Re is our cuarto grado or tercera. Then Mi is our quinto grado or segunda. Then we go from a whole step up from Mi is Fa sostenido. And then we go Sol sostenido to La. That's La mayor. And I recorded this little loop in 6 octavos now, so you guys can hear the difference and you can see how the slap pattern changes a little bit. And I'm going up and down between primera, segunda, and tercera, and I'm going to use the escala to do that. So let me mute my mic so you don't hear the slaps too much, and let's get it. Ahí está, algo improvisado. A little sloppy, but it's all good. I'm just demonstrating, going up and down. I'm messing around with it. And that's how you would do it. That's how you would use the escala to go up and down to a song that's in 6 octavos in La, that's going primera, segunda, and tercera. All right. So that's La mayor. Now let's move on to Si mayor, would just be fretted. You can't really play it open. So we don't have to do Si mayor. Do mayor, technically you can't play the full escala open, and it's very similar to Sol. So we technically don't have to do Do mayor, and you would much better fret that more than anything. But instead of going 2 4 1 2 4, what you can do is just go 2 open 1 2 open 1 3, and then slide to the last Do. So fret it or play the 2 notes open. So yeah, that's the same thing. It's not really an open escala. You can play it open if you like, but that would be Do, and Re would be the last one. And we don't really have a full escala to play for Re because we run out of strings, but it's also the exact same thing as La and Mi. We start on the open Re string, and it would be open 2 4 open 2 4. If we had another string, we could play 1 2, or we could continue it. Open 2 4 open 2 4, and we'd have to go all the way up here. You see this brazo is in the way for me, but that's how we would play Re. And one thing you also want to understand is that we don't just go down on the escalas, we can also go up. So if Re would go here, then we can technically go lower than Re, right? We would play Re and then Do sostenido, so that would go over here. So technically you can play that escala backwards, but that's something that I think you guys should try to work out and figure out. I think that would be very beneficial for you guys to learn. But there was a little demonstration if you want to see how I did it. It's very similar to the escala de Sol. A lot of the escalas are very, very similar. And after Re, we just come back to Mi. Those are all the natural tonos. Those are all the open escalas that you can play. So you guys have them here for reference. Now we're going to take a look at the minor escala. So I'm going to show you guys the fretted minor escala, and then I'm going to play along with the song, and then you can apply that wherever you need. And technically you can play them in open spaces too, but I'm just going to show you guys the fretted escalas for now, because this is already getting a long video. It's 25 minutes, but puro información buena. Hopefully this is helping you guys out. So let's get it. All right, so last escala shape that we're going to look at here today. This is the fretted universal natural minor scale. This is the escala menor for whatever tono, and I did it here on Fa menor because that's a very popular tono that we see a lot of songs playing in Fa menor. If you want to play it in Sol menor, just take it up 2 frets, right? So if we start on fa, the first note is the root of the tono, right? And then we're gonna do 1 3 4 for 2 strings. So we're gonna do 1 3 4, 1 3 4, and on the last string just 1 3. And that little pattern right there is actually what they use in Ella Baila Sola. And that song is in the key of fa menor, or the relative la bemol mayor. So what you're doing there, like same thing, like I said, 1 3 4, 1 3 4. So I recorded fa menor, just the tono de fa menor in 6 octavos, so that we can practice it and just play. It gets really complicated when it comes to switching to the dominant 7 chord that you see in a lot of songs with menor tonos, and switching between the primera, segunda, and tercera menor. So I'm gonna just keep it simple for now. Maybe in a later video we'll elaborate on that, but this is how you would play over fa menor using the menor escala de fa menor in 6 octavos. That was a little faster than I anticipated it was gonna be, but you get the idea, right? Just messing around with that escala right there. And as you can see near the end, I continued to the 2nd octave, so you can continue to play that the next two strings from the octave of fa. But right there, that's where all your jugo and all your salsa is gonna be, in that escala. So that's the menor escala. Like I said, wherever you put it, if you start on si bemol, that'll give you the si bemol menor escala. If you start on sol, and in that escala, that's where we're gonna get all of our little adornos that we can do over menor tonos, specifically over the sexto grado of a major key. So what we were just looking at there for all of the tonos, when I have the scale degrees there for you, now this is a little different for the minor scale. It should be flattened intervals technically from the major scale. But within the major escala, whichever that sexto grado note is, that's what's called the relative minor. That's where you're going to use this escala over that tono. So in the key of la over fa sostenido menor, you would use the minor escala for that tono. In the key of mi, it would be do sostenido menor. In the key of re, it would be si menor. In the key of do, it would be la menor. In the key of sol, it would be mi menor. And in the key of C, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sol sostenido, or la bemol. It would be sol sostenido menor technically. So that is a little bit of the diagrams and examples of how you can learn and use all of these escalas on Tololoche. Hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too confusing. If it was, like I said, hit me up so we can do some private lessons. I got a lot of Tololoche students I've been working with lately, even one from Mexico, so that's been super cool. But hit me up, send me a DM if you want to pre-order my Tololoche music theory course, or any of the other instruments I'm working on. The Requinto one is open at the moment, and Bajo Eléctrico is going to release next. After that, I'm probably going to focus on Bajo Quinto and then come around to Tololoche. So appreciate you guys. Thank you for all of the support. Thank you for the patience. I'm going to be posting a lot more regularly, hopefully here on YouTube. And send me a DM on Instagram, on TikTok, or leave a comment here if you want to see me cover anything else on Tololoche, on Bajo Quinto, on Acordeón de Teclas, whatever. I got you. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day. See ya.